Hello and welcome once again to Casual Warcraft. I am, as always, Lust, and yeah, Mists of Pandaria beta's out. I haven't gotten into it myself yet. I'm in on the annual pass, so I have to wait for the rolling invites that they're doing. Apparently, they're doing it in a rolling fashion because I guess over 1 million people signed up for it, so they're kind of doing it in waves, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. Just try to get everybody in. But yeah, I'm waiting patiently. Well, attempting to wait patiently. Let's say that. But there's been a whole lot of Mists of Pandaria information that's come out. It's been just a huge info dump lately. Obviously, with the beta, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen before, and then there was the press release just immediately before, like 2 days, 3 days prior. The NDA lifted on the press release, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there right now. I'm not gonna go over everything in this video. I don't have that kind of time, and neither do you. You don't want to sit here and watch that. So I will break it up into a few videos. Right now I'm just going to kind of give a general overview. I got some notes over there, and I got some notes here that I scribbled together a few days ago while I was at work. This is what I do at work. um, some pretty cool stuff going on, though. One of the biggest things I really want to talk about is they released that one of the final raids, or the final raid of Mists of Pandaria, is going to be a raid on Ogremar. And we're going to go take out, yeah, Garrosh Hellscream. Thank God. He sucks, he annoys me, I don't like him, and I want him gone. So a final raid for him would be great. I'm all down for that. I'm definitely gonna partake on that as soon as is humanly possible. Um, just kind of trying to look here to read. I'm not very organized, and I don't really plan to be ever because it's just against my nature. But yeah, it looks good. There's some ideas kicking around about it. Garrosh gets power hungry, commits war crimes and everything. The Horde and the Alliance both say, "Hey, well, we got to stop this guy. He's out of his freaking mind." So go in and kill him. What that leads to, though, I mean, who's going to take over as war chief of the Horde? I mean, there's what is it? Who am I thinking of here? There's Karen Bloodhoof. There's what is it? Zul'jin? I think the guy from the Trolls there. Yeah, either one of those guys could be future war chiefs. I'm kind of, I don't know. I really don't want to lean one way or the other too much and get my hopes up. But Zul'jin, it's pretty sweet. I'd like him. I think Karen Bloodhoof, can't talk. Karen Bloodhoof would be pretty badass. I think personally, he's a good guy. He'd been around since Vanilla and before, So either of those would work for me. But yeah. Another theory I heard. A friend of mine, I think it was. I think it was a friend of mine a few days ago was talking to me about this, and he said, maybe it's just, in his lust for power, Garrosh just succumbs to the demonic influence again and goes back over to the demonic side and, goes crazy that way. But it all boils down to the same thing. I think he just, goes power hungry and crazy, and that's really all there is to it. But I'm pretty happy about him being the final raid because I really, really want him gone. I kind of wish he was the first raid, but yeah, I'll take what I can get. Yeah, pretty happy about it though. There's been some loot changes in the looking for raid system. Where did I put those? Oh yeah. Ghostcrawler actually is the one that threw it up. Said basically what's going to happen is there's a lot of confusion on this too because there's a couple of different ones. There's the wrong one and the right one. Lore did straighten a lot of people out on the right one. I'm with Lore's theory on this because he's actually the one that interviewed Ghostcrawler and found out about it. So that's the theory that I'm putting out there because that's what Ghostcrawler said. So hopefully Ghostcrawler's right. Better be. Basically what it is that you kill a boss and the system decides that 3 to 6 people randomly out of the group are going to get loot. Okay. Then it looks at the loot table and gives loot applicable to that character's current specs. So say the tank is one of those 6 people. That boss drops a tanking piece. The tank then gets that loot. There's no roll. There's no nothing. That is just dumped into their bags. Okay? No rolling, no need, no greed. Just that was in the loot table. That matches that person's spec. Whether or not it's better than what they have, that loot goes in their bags. So basically you kill a boss. If you're one of the 3 to 6, you get loot. It's pretty much that simple. There is the bonus roll system that's going to be coming out. Basically, you go out and you do your dailies. You get a Charm of Good Fortune. Yep, Charm of Good Fortune. Um, as you get Elder tokens from your dailies, you can then use those to buy the Charms of Good Fortune with. And you can actually use the Charms of Good Fortune to not necessarily guarantee yourself the piece of loot that you want, but to guarantee yourself a piece of loot from a boss. Basically all there is to it. It's like you're going to get a piece of loot. It may not be what you want, but you'll get something from this anyways. So that's kind of neat. I don't know. I think it's better because it keeps people from ninjaing gear and just robbing us blind when when you go into an LFR and you need a piece of gear for an upgrade, and it drops and someone rolls need on it that doesn't even need it and they win it. That's a little maddening for everybody. So I like this system so far. I agree with the fact too that it shouldn't be everybody in the raid. It should be random people, because if everybody in the raid's getting loot automatically, they're basically just putting up a loot vending machine with no cost, is all it is to it. So 3 to 6 people is good. You still have that chance that you might not get something, but more than likely you will in a 10 man anyways. 25 man is a little less likely. There was no information if there's going to be more people getting loot in a 25 man than in a 10 man, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. But for right now, we're going to go with 3 to 6 on 10 and 25 because that's what's out there. Don't quote me on it as being set in stone, but that's what's out there for information. Let's see. They're not getting rid of auto attack anymore. Even monks are going to have auto attack. And the reason they figured this is because auto attack accounts for roughly 30 to 40% of a DPS class's or a tank's damage. So by getting rid of auto attack, you have to then absorb that 30 to 40% damage somewhere else over the course of their abilities. And it kind of more or less overpowers them. Really, it really destroys balance in the game, especially for one class not to have auto attack and have all that 30 to 40% extra damage soaked into their abilities. It kind of overpowers them because, well, what ability is going to be the strongest? Are they going to spread it across them all? And then still, one ability is still going to be the strongest, and then you have to spam it, and if they make it non-spammable, then they have to find another place to absorb that 30 to 40% damage. So we're still going to have auto attack. I'm okay with that too. That's good. They're not going to crush the item levels, which is kind of weird. It's a big problem, and even Blizz has said it's a huge problem. The numbers are just getting so big and so out of hand, but they're not going to do it yet. And I think the reason I heard on that was that it's because there's so much stuff already changing for classes and races and everything in the new expansion, that if they were to do the item crush too, everyone would just be like, wow, I suck overall, and not even look at the fact that just their numbers are smaller and comparatively they're actually better. So it's a better feel basically for it to introduce it later on when not as much stuff has changed. It won't feel as much of a wow, I suck at DPS now kind of thing, and you won't blame it so much on the abilities. You'll just be like, Blizzard, you won't be like, Blizzard, why you nerfed me? You'll be more like, okay, well, item levels got crushed, so that's okay. I like that because I'm as guilty of it as anybody. If I go in and all this stuff changes and I'm doing instead of 35,000 DPS, I'm doing 3,500. I don't, without knowing that, okay, we just lopped a 0 off the end of that, I don't have a reference point for that. It's just 3,500 becomes an arbitrary number that's really low to me because I was just doing 35,000 DPS. So I'm okay with it. I mean, it's just a mind game. It's a mind fuck, but I'm alright with it. I like it, I guess. Let's see. Pet battles. Pet battles are coming up. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about them. I was never a Pokemon player. I think when Pokemon actually came out, like the card game and the anime and stuff like that, I was a little old already for it. So I'm kind of dating myself there, I guess. But yeah. This is kind of like a Pokemon I can get into. I guess the way they're going to do it, they're not going to track losses. Apparently, they're only going to track wins. I don't know. I like the competitive side of it. I want to know how many losses I've had without having to keep track on a notepad next to my desk, But, I guess I can deal with it. Now, out of the way, I guess the way I've got my notes here set up so that it looks like this is going to work is that you're going to have, you know, a total number of pets. You know, all of your non-combat pets are going to be available, and you can train them and do whatever you want with them. When it comes down to an actual fight with your pets, you're going to pick 3 pets, and then each pet is going to have 3 abilities that you can pick to use. Okay, if you don't pick those abilities, then you can't use them in the fight. You can hot swap your pets out to, you know, counter other pets and stuff, I guess. So that seems to be okay. I'm all right with that. But overall, so far, the information that's coming out, and you know, I mean, we're being just absolutely bombarded with. I'm happy as hell with the way this expansion is shaping up. The biggest thing I've heard that I really like is it's a return to vanilla style play, vanilla in BC, where, you know, it's more or less, you know, instead of giving you, here's the world and this thing in it that you have to, that everything you're doing rotates around, they now give you a sandbox that has these other things going on in it here and there, and whatever you do in that sandbox affects those other things. You know, it's more of a, it brings back kind of a lot of the more real MMO feel to it, as opposed to the action adventure kind of game, really. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's kind of neat. The new battlegrounds, I think, are going to be awesome. I haven't mentioned those yet, have I? Ooh. They picked 2 out of the. I think they had 3 available that they were tossing around. They picked 2 of those. What do we got? We got a murder ball. You know, basically kill the guy with the ball. I mean, that's cool. I like that. So I mean, that's going to be like Blood DK Wonderland, I think, because, you know, Blood DKs are pretty hard to kill for the most part. I could be wrong about that, but mine is. Also, the other map is a payload map. I've never really messed around with the payload map very much, but from the descriptions of it I got from watching Legendary and stuff, I think it's going to be pretty good. It looks pretty solid. You know, I haven't really seen any footage of it or anything, but the idea looks solid. It looks like it could be a lot of fun. Yeah. But other than that, it's. I'm gonna check my notes here. Yeah. We did look for a garage. Yeah. Got everything over there. Well, we haven't covered a couple things actually. Let's see. With the expansion, with the actual box that ships, there's going to be 3 new raids with a total of 14 bosses. That's 2 Firelands. Okay, that's 14 bosses over 3 raids. That's awesome. All right. That's, what is that? What does that work out to? 3, 6, 9, 4. Works out to 4 apiece, and then 2 of them get an extra. That's pretty freaking sweet. You know, we got 14 bosses over 3 raids with the content that ships. That's great. There's 2 level 85s. Yep, 2 level 85 dungeons coming out with the X pack. On top of the, obviously, the Cata dungeons we have now. There is Storm Stout Brewery, which I saw a little bit of video of. Looks pretty decent. Looks pretty solid. And there is Temple of the Jade Serpent. The Temple of the Jade Serpent, I actually managed to get a little bit of the story on, and that is there's a Pandaren Emperor. He defeated the Shah of Doubt at one point in history and locked it away and buried it underground, and then this temple was built over it, and now basically the Shah of Doubt is angry about this temple being there. So you go in and you wipe out the Shah of Doubt. That's pretty much the basics of it. It's a really dumbed down version. I'm sure it's going to be much better than that, but all right, just that's the basics. It seems like from what I saw, they're introducing a lot more raid mechanics into dungeons, which is kind of good. It gets people actually, you know, ready to raid just by running dungeons. You know, you learn how to deal with these new mechanics and stuff a lot better. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see how the implementation of it goes, I guess, once I get into beta and I can run some of these. But I'd like to see more raid mechanics introduced into dungeons. They're a lot more difficult in some ways, but once you learn how to deal with them, they're fine. And once you can learn how to deal with raid mechanics, then even raiding isn't as hard for you anymore. You've seen similar mechanics, or you've seen some mechanics before, so you can actually say, "Oh, okay, well this looks familiar," and then you can go in and do your thing that way. So I like the idea, and I really hope they do a lot more of it. I think it'll be good. It has to be, almost, at this point, with everything else about this expansion sounding so good. If it's not good, it's going to be a severe letdown. You guys have probably heard Sholomance and Scarlet Monastery both got reworked. Scarlet Monastery, they actually, instead of being 4 separate dungeons now, it's 2 separate. And I don't remember the way they organized it, but I think it was Cathedral and Graveyard and Armory and Library. So Armory and Library were one dungeon, and Cathedral and Cemetery were the other, or Graveyard were the other. So, you know, it looks better. You don't, you know, the Graveyard is actually shorter, if you can believe that. But I like the way it looks. There's some new stuff, some familiar faces in there, but that'll be neat. Sholomance, I haven't really seen a whole lot, but they did update the instance itself, give it a better look, and they tried to go back through it and make it much more linear. Thank you. That dungeon, to me, has never made sense. I have never had a good time running it. I've never had a good time tanking it, healing it, DPSing it. I've never had a good time in Sholomance. I've always kind of skipped it as much as possible. I think, and it's a good dungeon. It's kind of sad that I skip it a lot, because it has the potential to be a good dungeon. So I think if they revamp it and make a lot more sense and make it more linear, I think I'll like it a lot more and I'll spend more time there. They also both have gotten heroic versions as well, so that'll be kind of fun. Haven't really heard a whole lot about the other dungeons. I know they're out there. I know the information is out there, but I've been working a lot and been soaking this up as I can, which is a lot of time I've been spending soaking this up, but I still haven't gotten it all. The other thing that did not get actually introduced in the area, is not going to be introduced in the expansion, which I was really looking forward to personally, is the updated character models. The character models, they said they are going to be updated. It is in the works. They want to do it. However, they can't do it by expansion. By expansion, the most they could hope to have done was the dwarves. The rest would not be done. Who was it? Let's see, I have a quote. Nathera said, "Character models are something you can't do overnight and make them stack up to the expectations of what that means. We want to make sure, like everything we do, that we do our best to get it right." So basically, Blizz wants to make sure their best artists and their best designers are on this to make sure that these character models live up to our expectations of an improved character model for, you know, Blood Elves and Draenei and Taurens and Orcs and everything. You know, because we all have high expectations of these things. You know, if they're going to redo these character models that we've been staring at for six plus years now, we want them to look good. So they're going to put all their best artists on it. Now, the problem with them putting their best artists and their best designers on it is those are also the guys that are working on their big raids and the expansion in general, all the artwork for the expansion. I mean, this is all done by these people. So, you know what, Blizz? Take your time. Relax. Get it done. Do it right. But take your time with it. Make sure it's right. I don't want to see half-ass character model updates. You know, I'd rather them look really damn good than just, well, you know, it's an update. So, yeah. I think that's about all I got for you for today. Yeah, that looks like about it. But, as always, of course, comment, subscribe, like, thumbs up, and all that noise. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. We are on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is facebook.com/lustswarcraft, twitter.com/casualwarcraft. Either of those two. Share us, like us, follow us, whatever you want to do. I know I'm going to say something else here. Gmail. Gmail.com. What is it? CasualWarcraft@gmail.com is our email address. If you want to get a hold of me, you want to ask a question, rant, rave, bitch, complain, argue with me. I don't care. That's the best place to get a hold of me. That email goes straight to my phone, so I will get it. More or less, if I'm awake, I'll get that email. Yeah, if you haven't already, check out my vlog channel. It's pretty friggin' boring, but I'll throw it out there anyways. The Desolations Angel, I think it is. It's down there. You know where to look for it. Yeah, anyways, that's all I got for you for today. Hopefully I'll have some more Mr. Pandaria info coming up pretty soon. And happy beta, guys. Have fun.